What's up YouTube? Welcome back to Celio's Network. Today I'm doing a deck profile on a deck that I've been playing a bit on stream and that people have requested the list for, and kind of how the deck works. So today's deck profile is on Hitmontop Wobbuffet and Friends. So the idea kind of comes from Wobbuffet being pretty good and expanded because of its Bide Barricade ability. As long as this Pokemon is your active Pokemon, each Pokemon in play in each player's hand, each player's discard pile, has no abilities. So this is good against Zoroark GX and things in Zoroark GX like Shaman EX and Execute with the propagation ability. Wobbuffet's getting a bit of hype as being a good card to use in Expanded simply because of Zoroark Toad and just Zoroark GX's dominance. So off of Wobbuffet, we were looking for a good partner with Hitmontop, with Wobbuffet, and that's Hitmontop. So Rapid Spin 30 switches Pokemon with one of your benched Pokemon. If you do, your opponent switches their active Pokemon with one of their benched Pokemon. So I'm not too fond of the second part of this ability, of this attack, but switching Hitmontop is really good. So we can hit with Rapid Spin and go into Wobbuffet. So we're playing 3 Hitmontop and 3 Wobbuffet. The Hitmontop, our goal is for it not to be dying too frequently because we're spinning it out for Wobbuffet, putting a Float Stone on Wobbuffet. If Wobbuffet lives, it retreats back into Hitmontop. If Wobbuffet dies, we just put up a Hitmontop and search out another Wobbuffet and do it all over again. So we do have damage modifiers for Hitmontop, like we have 4 Strong Energy, 1 Muscle Band, 2 Choice Bands, and then we're also playing 3 Shrine of Punishment to get extra damage down against opposing GX and EX Pokemon, since our damage output is a little lower in terms of damage from a GX or EX Pokemon, and there's a lot of high HP Pokemon out there, so Shrine of Punishment will help us not be underwhelming, help our damage be relevant. So the basis of the deck is around Hitmontop, Wobbuffet, the 3 Float Stones that we have, the 3 Shrine of Punishment, the 2 Choice Band, the 1 Muscle Band, energy to attack with energy so we can attack with Hitmontop, and then we have a bunch of options for backup attackers when Hitmontop Wobbuffet isn't needed, isn't the best thing, or we can't get both of those Pokemon out at the same time. So we have a 1/1 Weavile line, like has been seen in standard format Shrine of Punishment decks, because Evil Admonition is a pretty good attack for a Dark Energy, and here we'll be using either Counter or Rainbow to fulfill this energy requirement. It does 50 damage for each of your opponent's Pokemon that has an ability, so it's really, really good in Expanded. It's also pretty good in Standard, but in Expanded there's Tapu Lele GX, Shaman EX, Zoroark GX, and even more of them on the board because of Skyfield. So you can either limit your opponent from playing them down or punish them for playing them down. In the same vein of punishing your opponent, we have 2/2 of Garbodor Trashalanche. This attack does 20 damage for each item card in your opponent's discard pile, so 10 items in your opponent's discard pile and you're swinging for 200, and that's very easy to do in Expanded since you have Battle Compressor, Acrobike, Ultra Ball, Max Elixir, Beast Ring, Ace specs like Computer Search and Dowsing Machine, versus Seeker, which might be replacing spots that would be supporters in Standard format. And then, of course, Float Stones and other tools. So Trashalanche can really rack up a lot of damage. Chances are Weavile or Trashalanche, if not both of them, then at least one of them will have high damage output against your opponent's board. Then we have 2 Baby Buzzwole. So you want to get your Sledgehammer turn with this guy a lot of times, unless you're just keeping the Wobbuffet Rapid Spin lock. So Sledgehammer, of course, if your opponent has exactly 4 prize cards, it does 120. And then with, of course, Diancie doing causing your fighting Pokemon's attacks to do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. Sledgehammer is doing 140, and then 160 with a Choice Band, and 160 with a Strong Energy, and then 190 with a Choice Band, or 180 with a Muscle Band. The 190 with a Choice Band is a pseudo 200 if you have Shrine of Punishments out. So Sledgehammer can do a lot of damage. Also, Swing Around isn't bad at all. If you have a Rainbow and a Counter Energy when you're behind, especially against a Zoroark variant where you'll be hitting for weakness. I don't think I mentioned Diancie as one of the damage modifiers for Hitmontop, but it definitely is. So just the one Diancie Prism, because that's all you can play of Prism cards. It's Princess Cheers, cause your fighting Pokemon's attacks to do 20 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon. So Rapid Spin will be doing 30, 50 with a Diancie down, 70 with a Strong Energy on, and then 100 with a Choice Band on to GXs and EXs. So if you have a Shrine of Punishment, you're effectively one-shotting an opposing Zoroark GX with Hitmontop. 2 Marshadow, kind of is for disruption, kind of also for some draw support, since we're not playing Tapu Lele GX to search out our supporters, and we're not playing Shaman EX for draw. So we have Let Loose. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench during your turn, you may have each player shuffle their hand into their deck and draw 4 cards. So the same effect as the supporter Judge that you might be familiar with if you're not already familiar with Marshadow. You probably are, though, because this thing is running rampant all over standard format right now. So I am playing 2 of those. 1 Nihilego from Lost Thunder for its Nightcap ability, or Nightcap attack, sorry. You can use this attack only if your opponent has exactly 2 prize cards remaining. Choose one of your opponent's Pokemon's attacks and use it as this attack. So, unless you're playing against something that can take multiple Pokemon KOs in one turn, or spread, or something like that, your opponent is going to be taking 1 prize at a time. So they will go down to 4, and you will get to use Sledgehammer if you have access to Buzzwole and the energy, and they will go down to 2. If you have access to Nihilego and energy, you can use Nightcap. So I've realized that this deck could use a kind of like a big finisher or an answer to huge Pokemon. So something like a Buzzwole GX's Absorption GX or a Lycanroc GX's Dangerous Rogue, you could Nightcap and copy it. And since you don't have any GX attacks of your own, Nightcap is a way to use one of your opponents. So Nihilego is a nice little addition that I made later in building this deck. And that is it for the Pokemon. I already went over some of the trainers, but just briefly, we're using Computer Search as our ace spec because it's just great consistency to be able to, if you draw into a Computer Search, you can usually just get whatever you want, as long as 1, it's in your deck, and 2, you have 2 other cards you can discard to use Computer Search. Dowsing Machine is an okay option to get back, like maybe a Tool or a Shrine of Punishment, but it's not too valuable here. I thought about Life Dew, but then that can just get Field Blowered off, and then there goes your ace spec for the game, so I stuck with Computer Search. For search, for Pokemon Search, we have 3 Mysterious Treasure, since that can get out our Trubbish, Garbodor, Wobbuffet, Marshadow, and Nihilego. And then we have 3 Nest Balls, since that can get out Sneasel, Trubbish, Wob, Buzzwole, Diancie, Hitmontop, Nihilego. And we won't be getting Marshadow with that, because then its Let Loose ability doesn't work. So the only Pokemon not searchable by these 6 search cards combined is the 1 Weavile, and I'm fine with that. There's just 1 in the deck. You're not even going to want it most of the time, because you have to have the Sneasel out first. So you can Nest Ball the Sneasel if you need it. The Weavile would have to be searched out by something like Computer Search, or get it off the top with something like PokéNav, or even Teammates. So next, PokéNav, look at the top 3 cards of your deck. You may reveal a Pokemon or energy card you find there and put it into your hand. Important, you put the other cards back in order, not shuffle them in. So even if you look at the top 3 and there's not a Pokemon or energy you want there, there might be a supporter for next turn that you could just kind of put to the top of the deck and know that you're drawing into it next turn. 1 Rescue Stretcher. 2 would be nice, but your main Pokemon are Hitmontop and Wobbuffet, and you have 3 of each of those. So 1 Rescue Stretcher has been okay. 1 Special Charge in case you have to Sycamore away Special Energy early, or you stack up a few Strong Energies onto a Hitmontop and it gets knocked out. 3 versus Seeker, since a popular deck right now is Zorotoad and there's also Trevenants around. I upped our supporter counts a bit and dropped 1 versus Seeker, so that's less item reliancy this deck has. 3 Shrine of Punishment, like I already mentioned. 2 Colress for draw support. 2 Guzma, so we can switch our opponent's Pokemon when we want to. And we have 3 versus Seeker, so 2 Guzmas is just fine. 3 N, I'm playing 3 of this. It's kind of heavy for expanded, but I like it in case our opponent gets a lead. We can end them down to a lower hand. And also, like I said, we're not playing Tapu Leles and we're playing only 3 versus Seekers, so I want to have draw support available when it can be. And then 2, Professor Sycamore as our last draw supporter. And finally, for supporters, we have Teammates. You can only play this card if one of your Pokemon was knocked out during your opponent's last turn. Search your deck for up to 2 cards and put them into your hand. So Teammates is really, really great. Our Pokemon are going to be knocked out pretty easily as long as our opponent can set up. So if this is in the discard pile and we draw into a Versus Seeker, we're usually going to be able to use it. Then tools, we have, like I mentioned, 2 Choice Band, 1 Muscle Band, 3 Float Stone, and Energy, 4 Strong, 1 Counter, 4 Rainbow. So the power of Wobbuffet isn't only good against, decks like Zoro, Toad, and Zoro Garb. It's also fairly good in just, if you start Wobbuffet, it's really good. Your opponent can't use Shaman. They can't use anything that's not Psychic. So, of course, they can use Tapu Lele GX, but not being able to use Shaman turn 1 is pretty huge in Expanded, and not being able to use Zoroark at all is pretty huge. One problem you can run into against Zoroark decks is if they're running Alolan Muck, because Alolan Muck is a Psychic ability, so it turns on, and then it stops all basic abilities, which stops our Wobbuffet's Bide Barricade. So a more control version for Wobbuffet would be like 4 Wobbuffet and 3 Wobbuffet Break, where because Wobbuffet Break is not a basic Pokemon, so Alolan Muck wouldn't turn it off. But I think that's left for a more control Wobbuffet variant, where this is an attacking deck that also has some ability lock within it. So I hope you guys liked this deck profile. This is a really neat deck, and I've been having a ton of fun with it. If I had any expanded cups, this would definitely be my second choice next to Zoro Garb. So definitely try it out for yourself. I'll have the list copy and pasted below, so you can import it to PTCGO if you wish. Definitely tell me what you think and make changes, and let me know what changes you make if you like the deck or not. Be sure to check out flipsidegaming.com, where you can use code CELIO, all caps, for 10% off of your next order, $10 or more. And I'll see you next time here on Celio's Network.